Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:06 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are here to help you make sense of it all. It is a ladies' morning. You are listening to Patrice Onwuka. I'm in here for Larry, and I'm joined by Bethany Mandel. And we've got KT McFarland coming up in just a moment. But Bethany, this has been so great to be with you all morning.
It's been so fun. We should kick Larry off the island more frequently. Do you think he's listening?
Well, we love Larry. We love men. We're not like the other feminists today who, don't. And we love KT McFarland because she is a brilliant woman when it comes to foreign policy, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump and the author of Revolution. Good morning, KT.
Good morning, ladies. Delighted to hear that you've kicked Larry off the island for the day.
Exactly. Well, speaking of islands, let's go to the Caribbean, actually where I'm from. We've got a U.S. Navy destroyer docking right now in Trinidad and Tobago, kind of a standoff, really, or a positioning of the United States in the region, as pressure against Venezuela and President Maduro there. Can you set this up for us and kind of help us? Well, that was back in October 27th, a few days, about a couple of weeks ago. But now, where are we at? What is going on here, and what led to this lead up here?
I think look at this from sort of two levels. The Venezuela level, the Venezuela-Cuba level, the Venezuela-Cuba connection is that Maduro, who is president of Venezuela, I mean, he's corrupt, he's horrible, he's displaced his people, and he's welcomed in the Chinese and the cartels for sure. And so he's not a leader we like. He's also a very potentially rich leader because Venezuela should be one of the wealthiest countries in the world because of its natural resources, particularly its oil, and it's not. But in addition, Venezuela supports Cuba. It's the main lifeline paying for Cuba. Cuba can't support itself under its communist dictatorship. So the small picture is that President Trump is sending the USS Gerald Ford and other ships to the region to say, we're going to stop the drug trade. We're going to stop the smuggling of drugs that go from Venezuela into the United States. And he's blown out of the water all the ships carrying the drugs. But he's also got the ability now of maybe doing pinpoint strikes against land-based drug operations, labs, depots, et cetera. He's done that not yet, but has the potential. So at the lower level are we looking for regime change in Venezuela, not led by us, not by American boots on the ground, but by the Venezuelan people themselves because we're so crushing and scrimping and really pressurizing the Maduro government. But there's a bigger picture, and that's the one I think is fascinating because Donald Trump's always 3 or 4 chess moves down the board from everybody else. If you look at South America, the Western Hemisphere, we've not paid any attention to our neighbors to the south. Republicans or Democrats, we've always just taken it for granted that they're our guys. And as we've been focused, in Asia, we've been focused certainly in the Middle East in the forever wars for 20 years, we've taken our eye off the ball. And so what's happened in South America is that the Chinese have moved in, the cartels have moved in, and the communists have moved in. And all of a sudden, we are paying attention to it and saying, oh, yikes, we could potentially have a big problem in South America. So that's one of the reasons that President Trump has been very proactive in working with another big country in the region, Argentina, their pro-Trump MAGA leader, Milei. And I think what President Trump is looking at the whole Western Hemisphere to say, first of all, we potentially have a brewing problem on our southern borders, and not just our border security, but just all the countries south of us. And secondly, if we could somehow get the communists and the cartels and the Chinese out of the region, may not happen tomorrow, but in a long term, that would be a very powerful Western Hemisphere that would really change the whole constellation of the world if we could do that. Now, I think that's several steps down the road, but again, President Trump looks long term.
So one headline that I don't feel like has gotten enough attention that I found really surprising and disturbing was that the UK is suspending some of their intelligence sharing with the United States because they don't approve of our actions with these boat strikes with the Venezuelans. What are your thoughts on that move? And do you think that there's going to be some repercussions from the Trump administration in response to that UK decision?
I think more likely a response from the Trump administration is the decision that the BBC made to really doctor the news. You know, if you, it's what I mean. The BBC is owned by the British government, right?
Yep.
Pays for it.
Yep.
British citizens are taxed to pay for the BBC. And what has the BBC done? Well, we've always known that they sort of leaned left, anti-American, certainly anti-Trump. But what we've now seen it's been revealed that in the last year or two, especially a very famous Panorama documentary that was done right before the election, is that the BBC producers and team took two speeches that Donald Trump made on January 6th, two very different speeches, spliced them, put them together as if it was one speech, and had the intention of making the opposite of what he was saying. So while he was saying on January 6th in 2021, saying move peacefully, walk peacefully, march peacefully, 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 that was all edited out. And so the BBC documentary made it sound like Donald Trump was calling for an insurrection that he would lead against the United States Congress and the American people. So they were caught red-handed with this. The head of the BBC had to resign, the news division had to resign. But I think that if I were President Trump, what I'd be really mad at is not just fake news, not just the spin was against him, but this is a sort of thing that happens in, China. This is communist China. This is Nazi Germany. This is the Union, where they're trying to do disinformation on a massive scale to influence the politics of the United States.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that BBC stuff is really galling, and I don't think that enough people are familiar with it.
We're speaking here with
I
KT
think it's
McFarland.
A game changer.
KT, shifting gears just a little bit, the other big headline today is obviously the end of the shutdown. I think so many people are excited for that. Our military servicemen and women who are serving without pay, the civilians who have been furloughed, that goes against kind of just the military readiness, in addition to all of the other folks who have been negatively impacted by this shutdown. Talk to us about what this has meant for a national defense. I mean, has this been this 7-week shutdown been a setback to our ability to be prepared for whatever could be on the horizon?
Well, God bless the United States military, where they do stay on the job even without the paychecks. But what it does is it says to the world, America can't govern itself. And that's what China's been telling the world. America can't govern itself in the 21st century. They're all at each other's throats. Therefore, you need an authoritarian, top-down leadership like China offers the world, and the China model. But as a New Yorker, can I just say how galling it is that Chuck Schumer cared more about his job than he cared about the American people or government workers. Why? I'm a New Yorker. Chuck Schumer, everyone knows that AOC is going to primary Chuck Schumer. He's up for re-election a year from now, and she'll probably win that primary. And so what did he do? He wanted to shut down the government. Nobody was allowed to compromise, because he wanted to be able to say to the far left Democrats in New York State, look, I didn't bend to Donald Trump. Don't support AOC. Support me for re-election. And that's the galling thing.
Galling is right, and he got shut down pretty strongly. Republicans held the line, and for good reason. So, thank God the government is reopened, KT, and we can really focus on where our focus needs to be, including our national defense and everything else. It's been so great having you with us. It's been Ladies Morning.
It's been Ladies Morning, but tell Larry we miss him. Can't wait to have him back again.
Will do. Thank you so much, KT McFarland.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
All right. Bethany, Epstein. Does somebody appear when you say Epstein 3 times? Because I think that's what the media and the left really were hoping yesterday, when we have the new Epstein news. And so, for folks who, didn't realize that the shutdown came to an end, they were more obsessed with Epstein here. You got a little bit of what you were looking for. Democrats in one of the committees, I believe House Oversight Democrats, released 3 emails, random emails from different times, trying to draw a link between President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's behavior, illegal criminal behavior towards minors. Now, they didn't directly say it, but they tried to use innuendo to draw that line. Let me play for you a clip from Jasmine Crockett. We actually talked about her earlier, who is trying to, again, insinuate President Trump's wrongdoing, and she even gets shut down by CNN hosts. And I'll get your response on the other side. Cut 20, please.
This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans are saying that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by suicide. She's been very outspoken victim of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that? And can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
okay,
but I'm just saying, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And
yeah, your biggest concern is not that. Bethany, is that true? Do you buy Crockett's line?
I think it's really rich that they are suddenly so concerned about Epstein now. They are so focused on whatever the narrative is of the day that they think can hit Trump. If you had a time machine and could put her sentence back into her hands a couple years ago when it was Bill Clinton at the center of all of this, and she'd be like, I don't think that's any of our business. Consenting adults can do whatever they want with an underage child that's trafficked. They are the ultimate. Epstein is like a real weather vane moment, because you can tell who actually thinks the things they think and who just are political opportunists. And
yes,
I really love this timeline, because I've always thought that the Epstein stuff is shady a year ago, 2 years ago, and now. And it's cute watching the Democrats come on board.
Yeah, it's so obviously the timing it was intentional. Yesterday, the big news story was the shutdown was coming to an end, and House Democrats were going to lose the vote to keep the shutdown going. They, as you remember, they voted to keep the shutdown going, to ensure that troops were not getting paid, to ensure that air traffic controllers would not be paid, to ensure that SNAP beneficiaries would not receive food benefits, and women on WIC would not get their nutrition. And so that's what they were voting for, and they realized that they were going to lose. And so great way to shift the conversation to Epstein, which is why I started this segment, saying Epstein, Epstein, Epstein 3 times, which is what I think they think will suddenly make, someone appear who's just going to mesmerize people and put on a show. But, you said, and I agree with you, it ended up being a really big nothing burger, because as much as you may try to spin it, one of the alleged victims in this case passed away. But before she passed away, she said that President Trump never did anything to her. So, Jasmine Crockett may try her best to try to, pretend like that it's not the case, that somehow President Trump has done some wrongdoing, and these 3 emails are suddenly what's going to be the nail in his coffin, but that's simply not the case. And then you have, frankly, House Republicans released 20,000 documents about Epstein, and the news outlets like CNN are still right now trying to sift through all of it. And I think most reasonable people have said that if the Biden administration, if the Obama administration had damning information about President Trump all these years, you can't tell me they wouldn't have used it before now. There just is not anything there.
Yeah, and I don't think that there is going to be anything there, because they've hidden it. am a conspiracy theorist
Oh,
lover.
You're a tinfoil hat wearer?
100%. Like, dinosaurs, don't even get me started. But on Epstein, I'm all in. But they're smart too. They're covering their tracks. There's no way that they've released anything interesting in any of these. The most that I think that we will get from this is that a lot of people in power, including the president, knew more than they're letting on. But also, it seems like Trump knew he was shady and distanced himself, as he well should have. And, that's just, that's not news.
Well, and as we know, President Trump removed Jeffrey Epstein from his from Mar-a-Lago, and wanted to ensure that whatever was going on, he was not going to be part of it. The Epstein saga will continue, but most importantly, the news of the day is that the federal government has reopened, and I think that's where we need to keep our attention and our focus. It's 8:23. All right, coming up, there could be some changes to Dulles. Something big, white, and ugly is maybe disappearing. We'll tell you what. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company. WMAL.
Oh, we've been waiting all morning for this song. It is 8:37, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. And yes, girls just want to have fun. This is Patrice Onwuka. I am in for Larry, and I'm here with Bethany Mandel. Bethany, we had a lot of fun today.
We did, and I think that the decision to save this segment for the last on the show was a wonderful one on the part of our lovely producer, Heather Hunter. It really is a girls' show behind the scenes and in front of them.
That is so true. That is so true. It has been fun. And speaking of fun, having fun with your colleagues at work, we actually have something interesting here. Do you believe that politicians, members of the administration, can actually seem to get along and it seem real and natural and normal? Well, we actually have that. We've got some moments from a Make America Healthy Again summit. And this is RFK Jr. On stage with Vice President J.D. Vance. And let's play this clip, cut 21. And I would love your thoughts, Bethany, after the clip.
One of the funniest moments in any cabinet meeting, President Trump had them bring in a full-size picture of himself with Putin. And when they were in Hawaii, and he's very tall, and Putin was very short. Putin came up to about here, and he said, "You know what I said to him?" He said, "I've had it up to here with you." Okay.
So President Trump's life-size picture.
I love
Putin.
it.
Okay, go ahead.
What are my thoughts? So my thoughts are, I think that this is why the Trump-Vance ticket won, ultimately. I think the best indicator of electability is, would you want to have a beer with this person? And they looked like they were having fun the whole time they were running. It was not angry. It was not. It was just laughing and joking. And the normalcy that Vance brought to the table was off the charts. Kennedy is not so normal. He's a Kennedy. But Vance makes up for that in spades. And I think this is these are the moments where you really see the power and the potential future, especially for this, not just the duo, but the whole core team. Sean Duffy, also Secretary of Transportation, is another one of these guys that, like, you just want to sit down and have a beer with. And he was walking through airports during the whole shutdown, and he was delightful the whole time.
I totally agree with you. I love this clip. Let's play let's play this clip of J.D. Vance and RFK Jr. talking about Marco Rubio. Cut 22.
This is the funniest guy on the cabinet.
Well, obviously, the President of the United States. I mean,
beside him.
So beside him, I mean, look, we all have different views on this. My personal vote for funniest person outside the president is probably Marco.
Yeah, Marco.
He has an incredible sense of humor. He's got great comedic timing.
Rival.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, you know, there are a couple others. Look, very good sense of humor on the cabinet. There's a lot of funny people. I think Marco is the funniest outside the president.
He says something that makes everybody laugh. Correct. At least once during the cabinet meeting.
That's right. Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw this video circulating on social media, but you know, the president met the president of Syria, al-Shara, in the Oval Office a couple of days ago, and you know, he asked him, he's like, "Well, how many wives do you have?" and it's just like, oh, what an amazing question.
There you go. That's what you were talking about, Bethany.
But I've never seen that side of Marco Rubio. Have you?
I have.
Really?
I was actually just looking it up. I'm thinking about it because he has some really good facial expressions.
Yes,
I think
100%.
The water debacle in the
Yes.
When he was running for was it president or whatever, he had done this
and with
State of the Union redress
with the Ukrainian president in the White House too, when he's sitting.
Yes, that is
like
what
the
I was
meme.
thinking of.
Yes.
And you see Vladimir Zelensky, President Trump, J.D. Vance is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to blow this meeting up. He launches into Zelensky, and you look at Marco Rubio and the look on his face. So I absolutely believe he's probably the one to give those facial expressions that everybody's thinking, but is too stoic to reveal on their face. I absolutely think so. And we've got here a flashback. Oh yes, of let's play this clip if we have a couple of minutes here. This is a flashback on Labor Day. Marco Rubio making a quip about having jobs.
Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed again. You were elected as the president of working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so, it's true.
Okay, that was really funny. I remember that.
Timing.
I remember that.
That's the comedic timing. All right, and then one more clip here. I think we've got a minute or two. Okay, this is J.D. Vance being quizzed by RFK Jr. Let's play this. Cut 24.
Presidents from Ohio. How many can you name?
Oh,
this is unfair because
that is a totally unfair question. I regret coming to this event based on that question. Okay,
none of them. Well, with one exception. None.
Okay, so obviously U.S. Grant.
Yeah.
I have a particular affinity for him. Both of us have beards. Rutherford B. Hayes.
Good.
Was Cleveland, Ohio, or is he somebody else?
I don't think Cleveland was.
Okay. The problem is a lot of the Ohio ones are, frankly, the range of presidents where nobody can name them.
Yeah, they all are.
So it's like most people can like go up to Jackson, and then they know there's sort of Lincoln and Grant, and then there's like, you know, a black hole of presidents. Those are the Ohio presidents. Please don't judge my home state because it was just it was a different time in the country. So the answer is apparently 2.
Did you?
There you go. I listen. You said it right, Bethany. There's a jovialness and a normacy that they bring to the president, to their office and what they're doing with this administration. That will make a really formidable ticket in 2028. So we will see how this goes. It's 8:43.
WMAL, making sense of party politics because somebody's got to hold their feet to the fire. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, Bethany Mandel, we've got a little bit more from this MAHA summit that J.D. Vance, Vice President, and RFK Jr., were headlining. We've got this great clip here of J.D. Vance talking about medication. Tell me if you think he's going to win over the MAHA crowd with this one. Let's play cut 25.
No, I'm like one of these crazy people. The one way in which I'm more instinctively MAHA is that if I have like, you know, a back sprain or I slept, you know, weird and I woke up with back pain, I don't want to take ibuprofen. Like, I don't like taking medications. I don't like taking anything unless I absolutely have to. And I think that's another MAHA style attitude. It's not anti-medication, it's anti-useless medication. We should only be taking stuff, we should only be giving our kids stuff if it's actually necessary, safe, and effective. And I think that's an attitude that's really beneficial to the entire country, because we do have, you've talked about this as eloquently as anybody, we do really have an obesity epidemic in the United States of America. I think a big part of that is not asking where our food comes from. We really do have medications that I don't think, maybe they're not solving the chronic disease epidemic. Maybe some of them are even causing the chronic disease epidemic. We've got to be asking more critical questions about what we're putting into the bodies of our kids. And I don't think we were doing that until this movement came along.
If J.D. Vance represented MAHA instead of Kennedy, I would be so much more on board. I'm not a fan of how Kennedy frames things in a very conspiratorial manner, that vaccines are causing autism, Tylenol is causing autism. I don't think that. But how JD just framed all of those things, I'm 100% on board with. It would be nice to have a conversation not just about Tylenol and all of those things, but also about, this is the controversy. Antidepressants and Ritalin and all of the medications that we're over prescribing in our country. And that's when you really step into it, and that's when you really start to get brave saying those things.
Who do you think supports all of the news channels? There's like 5 drug commercials for every food commercial we have in this country. I mean, I agree with you. I think he frames the issue really well. And most people would say, I don't want to take a bunch of medications every day if I don't have to, especially if they're not going to do anything for me. And I love that he talked about the fact that obesity is an issue and it has an impact on, long-term health. And hey, just to bring it back to the shutdown, well, now that the government is reopened, can we have a conversation about SNAP and the 42 million households that are on SNAP
and what we're paying
food that is bought with SNAP EBT benefits, how that continues to perpetuate. I mean, I saw some crazy statistics about the number of people receiving EBT and how much of that money goes towards sugary drinks like soda every month. So, hey, I'm here for it. And if we don't get this all resolved in Trump 2.0, maybe we'll get it resolved in Vance 1.0.
Yep.
There you go. All right. It is 8:52.